Okay, this is a reshoot. I had an interruption on it. This is a video answering a question I had in the comments about my certification video. I had just gotten my med-surg certification, and the question was basically the comment was like, can you elaborate on the certifications? I'll preface this by saying a couple things. My point of view, as always, is med-surg bedside. I'm a relatively new nurse, and uh, there are many YouTubers out there that will be able to define those certifications, or whatever topic I go and talk about, frankly, a lot better than me. Okay, what I offer my channel with my commentaries, my rantings, is just kind of a layman's point of view, because I still consider myself a layman, and I don't want to say no holds barred, because there are certain things I bite my tongue on, but I'll give you a commentary that probably most people won't give you on YouTube or otherwise, just because they're looking to grow the channel, or what have you. It has to be PC, or they might not want to stick their nose into it. For me, I prefer to let you know straight up. It's easier. Let's bullshit, you know. So, with those said, certifications, and I'm not talking about PALS or ACLS or BLS. BLS is basically mandatory across the board, right? PALS and ACLS are optional. Nursing certifications are all optional. You can practice with your RN license and never touch it, whether you're a diploma, associate's, bachelor, or the rare MSN type. You can go straight in and take the NCLEX, pass it, and start practicing as an RN. You do not need your certification to practice as an RN. To be a specialist in a subset, for certain ones, you definitely need your certification. Others, you don't. Like I rate CCRNs as the top of the list, and it's emergency nurses, CENs, shortly below, and then the rest of them, you actually don't need those two to be in the ER or ICU. You absolutely don't. To be a manager or something like this, upper echelons and stuff like that, yes, you probably do. I can't imagine you can practice, unless you're really old time, been in there 30 years, being in a manager position or educator position, whatever, without those. Educators, wound care, you want to be a real hospice nurse like that, um, you need to have your certification. You can do wound care, you could do ostomy. I do that as at bedside, but you cannot call yourself a wound care nurse, an ostomy nurse, specialize that, and get the higher pay of it without that specialization, that certification. You need to be WOC. There's a couple. There's four in that subset alone. There's ostomy nursing, there's wound care nursing, there's a combination, there's a fourth one I don't remember. And there are different requirements for every one of these certifications. Like a wound care, let me just use that as a good example. You need to have your bachelor's. You need to have 1,800 hours or 2,000 hours, I forgot, of clinical work in wound care setting to then test for your certification. And that is the crux of the issue for certifications for most nurses, especially new nurses, grad nurses, nursing students. Certifications are far down the horizon for you, far off. At least 2 years. You got to be in the business, practicing, logging that. So you could have your RN license, work minimally for 3 years, and still not qualified to test for any of the certifications. You have to log in, I believe it's 2,000 hours or 3,000 hours within 4 or 5 years. I think it's different for every certification. Um, So it's not just like, oh, I had my RN license for 5 years. So what? You got to have these hours. You got to have someone to sign off on it. You have that double checked. And each subset organization, wound care, med surge, critical care, peds, OBGY, they're psych, whatever, they're going to police that, you know. They're going to want CEUs and they're going to audit you. Not always. Sometimes they say, okay, fine, you certified that, you swore on that, that's great. Every now and then they will pull your name out of a hat and hey, we're your 30 CEUs, you know. That's the other thing for certifications. Depending on certifications, I believe you need to, like for my certification, I need 150 CEUs every 5 years. So whereas for my state, we need 30 CEUs every 2 years, I actually need 30 every year to maintain my certification for this. And so it's different. They're different every one. So all that said, why do you want your certification? What's the good of it? It's optional. Ego. Improves your resume. It improves your skill set. That's the three things that I put. And I put it in that order. For me, I'll be totally honest. It's ego. For me, it's 50% of it is ego. The other 50% is the resume, the skill set. I got a little raise for it. But for me, it was more ego. You know, I'm being totally honest with you. I value my certification more than my BSN. I'm still in the process of it. I took a hiatus on my BSN because anyone can have a BSN or MSN and have your RN license. But you can have any of the four options and still get a certification once you meet those minimum criteria I was just talking about. But you need to have those minimum criteria. You can graduate with an MSN, master's in nursing, and test and get your NCLEX. You can't get your certification. You got to wait those 2 years of work, clinical work, and meet whatever specialty requirements. I don't care. We don't care if you're critical care, whatever. You got to meet those minimum requirements for critical care to even test for your CCRN. That's why, you know, for me, when I look at credentials, if I even look at credentials, you know, I see MSN, BSN, blah blah blah, XYZ, ABC. But if I see certifications, that's when it says, okay, this person knows enough for this, knows enough to be a hospice nurse, knows enough to be critical care, knows enough to be a emergency nurse, a nurse educator, certified nurse educator. There's so many subsets. Those you can take with you on your resume and improve yourself. You could be a travel ICU nurse, make $7,500 a week. That's great, right? If you have your CCRN on top of that, doesn't matter your ACLS, PALS, and all that stuff. If you have your CCRN on top of that, you're going to negotiate even higher, frankly. I wouldn't, if I had my CCRN and I was getting paid $7,000 or whatever a week, I'd be like, I'm getting underpaid. I would negotiate even higher. I'd go like, oh no, I want more. And I'd probably get it. Okay. Right now. I mean, in this post-COVID or, you know, era, ICU nurse is the highest demand, I believe, right now. They're little unicorns, gold-plated unicorns that get paid whatever they want. Just like respiratory therapists to some degree. You know, I've heard a lot of stories where they get paid even more than that. In the height of the pandemic, they were getting paid $10,000 a week. You know, and that's right in their face. You're intubating somebody, it's right there. You know, so guess what? It's a high risk job. You know, it's like oil rigs, you know, or mine sweeping. You know, oil rigs. You know, you're gonna get paid more. You know, so it is totally your option whether or not you want to do certifications or not. It's not mandatory. It's not even required, I believe, unless you're in those subsets. If you want to be a wound care nurse, Yeah, if you want to be a specific hospice nurse, you can practice hospice care and not have that. But if you want to be a hospice nurse and discuss with the families and providers and stuff like that, you have to have that. You want to be an educator. Pretty much, I have seen educators without, to be honest. But to be a top notch, top echelon, you need that. You need that, or something else like a DMP or MSN and something else. But if you don't have those and you just have a diploma, ADN, BSN, even MSN, like I said, you can get your specialty, your certification, and then use that. So that's my take on it. I mean, it's not mandatory at all. You guys can take it or leave it. It helps you, in my opinion, once you can qualify. I strongly suggest qualifying. It helps you. It does not hinder you. The test is basically like an NCLEX test most of the time, from what I've seen and heard. It's 150 questions for my specialty. I keep saying specialty. My certification. That was a long test, to be honest. It was more than twice as long as my NCLEX. I was just like, oh my God, this thing has got to end sometime. Please end. I was like, at one point, I was just like, let me fail. Fuck this. I don't care. Just end. 150 questions. I'm ready to claw my eyes out. So be prepared for that kind of lengthy test. Whether you like it or not, you got to finish the test. All right. That's my only takes on it. Good luck. I hope that answers the questions. Any other questions? If I skipped something that you totally had a question on, please, fire it off in the comments. I will try to address it. Okay. Good luck.